Keep the racket vertical. And bring your forearm inwards as if your two forearms are moving towards each other. The resulting shot is very awkward for the opponent, much better than popping up a simple push. Today, we're going to focus on the most common technique for amateur players, the push. When receiving serve, many amateurs miss their push because their timing is off. Think of the rhythm in 3 steps: the first bounce on their side, the second on yours, and the third is your contact. The common mistake is rushing, combining the second and third steps. You're hitting the ball the instant it bounces. The correct rhythm is like go, go, stop. You need to have a slight pause before you execute the push. Against a heavy spin serve, you should not push the ball on the rise, as you'll be affected by the spin. You need to slow down your rhythm. Get into position early, pause, and then push. Don't just wait in one spot. If you wait stationary, you'll be late. The correct rhythm is move in, pause, then push. It's the same for long pushes. Don't rush the contact right after the bounce. Get set first, wait, and then execute the stroke. Never rush the contact point. Against light spin, contact the ball at the peak of the bounce. Against heavy spin, wait for it to start dropping and use a slow, controlled push. That's the first key point. The second key point, pushing the ball high, is an issue of judgment. If you read the spin correctly, you will naturally adjust your racket angle. For example, you know to use a more vertical angle and push downwards against topspin, and a more open angle to push forward against backspin. The problem is not being able to read if it's sidespin topspin or sidespin backspin. By the time the ball bounces a second time, it's too late. You must make your judgment as the ball crosses the net, before it even lands on your side. Watching your opponent's motion is the first clue. But if you can't read their motion, watch the ball speed. A very spinny ball will always be slower. A fast serve usually has less spin, while a slow serve has more. This is because amateurs lack precise technique, so their heavy backspin serves are almost always slower. You can even judge by sound. A topspin ball has a crisp tack-tack sound, while a backspin ball sounds slower and more muffled. You can often tell the spin just by listening. I'm not exaggerating. I can often identify sidespin topspin versus sidespin backspin by sound alone, with about 80 to 90% accuracy. Even a fast backspin serve has a distinct brushing sound, completely different from the sharp contact sound of a topspin serve. Backspin is a whoosh, while topspin is a thwack. So, first try to judge from their service motion. If you can't, judge by the ball's trajectory. If it's fast and has a high arc, treat it as topspin and use a more vertical racket angle. If it's slow and low, treat it as heavy spin and open your racket angle. Second, when you absolutely can't read the spin, use a play it safe or cover all bases approach. It's like what a fortune teller does. They'll tell you one option is good, but another has potential, but also risks, leaving the decision to you. They give you pros and cons for every scenario, so they are never wrong. It sounds reasonable at the time, but you realize they're just covering all bases. We can do the same in table tennis. This safe approach means starting with a more vertical racket angle, for topspin, and then opening it slightly through contact, for backspin. When dealing with a semi-spinny ball, I start with a vertical angle to control the height, then open it to ensure the ball clears the net. If you're missing pure sidespin topspin, that's just a basic reading error. What this technique actually helps with are those ambiguous serves that could go either way between topspin and backspin. The same logic applies to looping. If you loop too much upwards, it goes out. Too much forward, it hits the net. So, I combine the motions, lift up first, then go forward. Of course, for a pure topspin serve, you must fix your judgment. But for unreadable balls, just focus on getting it back safely. Don't force the shot. When pushing, first use a vertical angle to prevent the ball from popping up, then add a slight lift to clear the net. This solves the problem of not knowing if it's topspin or backspin. Even against a topspin serve, this up then forward loop won't be a mistake, it'll just be a bit high and slow. And since you loop backspin upwards anyway, this motion covers both. However, this cover all bases method is for semi-spinny balls. It won't work against heavy backspin or deep, kicking sidespin topspin. But since amateurs often serve semi-spinny balls, this is a very practical strategy. To summarize, with my push, I both control the arc and prevent it from hitting the net. With my loop, I both lift the ball and control the height. Problem solved. This is all practical experience from competition. Many serves aren't simply topspin or backspin, sometimes even the server doesn't know the exact spin. Now, let's talk about the forehand side. A common serve is a no-spin or light backspin ball. If you flick, it goes in the net. If you chop long, it goes out. If you soft push, it pops up high. To handle this kind of serve, you must keep your racket vertical and learn to either push block or wipe the ball. With a vertical racket, you can wipe both backspin and no-spin serves over the net. Against this gray area serve, a standard flick will go into the net, and a standard push pops up for your opponent to attack. They have this tactic perfected. The problem here is distance. You're drawn back by long balls, so when a short serve comes, you rush in and aren't in the proper position to generate power. If you were already standing at the table, the flick would be easy. But in a match, you're out of position, making the short forehand a weakness. The solution is to keep your racket completely vertical. With a vertical racket, pushing straight ahead sends it down the line. Pushing towards the side sends it cross-court. You shouldn't try to push these neutral balls conventionally. A hard push is risky, and a soft push gets attacked. While you can push heavy spin, these semi-spin balls are tricky. Long pimple players either block or push block the ball. They don't flick or push it. We should follow their example. The key is to keep your forearm moving forward while your racket face points sideways. To get the feel, imagine bringing both of your forearms together in front of you. Keep the racket vertical, and bring your forearm inwards as if your two forearms are moving towards each other. The resulting shot is very awkward for the opponent, much better than popping up a simple push. Even if you are slow, out of position, or late to the ball, you can still execute this shot effectively. A flick is impossible in that situation because you can't reach the ball properly. The beauty of this technique is that even if you're prepared for a long ball, you can still handle a surprise short serve without being passive. With a conventional flick, if you're even a little late, you'll miss. It requires professional level anticipation and speed, which is difficult for amateurs to achieve while moving. Our coaching is effective because we find solutions for amateurs who have slower reactions and anticipation, allowing them to handle difficult situations. This technique isn't dependent on the contact point. If you take it early, it's more aggressive. If you take it late, you can still execute it. Remember, when an opponent serves to your short forehand, they are almost always preparing to attack. Therefore, you must aim your return to their backhand corner. Most amateurs have a weaker backhand than forehand, so target it. The technique: vertical racket, forearm forward, blade head pointed sideways, palm towards the opponent. Use the feeling of bringing your forearms together. Let's demonstrate with a penhold grip. This technique is especially useful when you're caught out of position and can't step in for a short forehand ball. Here's another great method for controlling the arc on a forehand push. If you chop straight down against a topspin serve, the ball will pop up. However, if you chop sideways and down, you can keep the ball low and control the rising arc. The motion is to raise your forearm to create a V shape, then use your forearm to chop downwards. This is for those tricky balls you can't read, where a normal push goes high and a flick misses. This technique works best on balls with less spin. Heavy spin will go into the net. Remember, the motion is sideways and down, not forward and down, similar to a hook serve. Create that V shape. If you push forward, the ball will pop up. You must use a sideways cutting angle. I use this sideways push often, and it's an awkward shot for opponents, especially in doubles. It feels like executing a hook serve motion on a short ball. This in-table hook motion is essentially brushing the side of the ball. You're brushing it, not chopping straight down, which is too risky and can go long. If you combine this with forward body momentum, the ball will be even lower and faster. This is a very effective shot. Even against your opponent's spinniest short forehand serve, where a normal push would go in the net, this sideways brush will work because you are avoiding the area of maximum spin. If you return his serve with this shot a couple of times, I guarantee he'll stop serving to your forehand. In table tennis, you need surprise tactics. Because few players use this technique, your opponent won't be used to it and will make mistakes. Even your best conventional push can be attacked with a quick loop. If the ball has no spin, you can lift your racket and chop sideways. If you want to push to a wide angle, use the same side cutting motion. This is my secret weapon, it has always worked for me. This shot is even more effective in doubles. The server has to move back and the partner has to move in, so this wide, awkward return makes their footwork extremely difficult. This side cutting technique works for semi-spinny and backspin balls, but not for pure topspin, as trying to chop a short topspin ball will make it pop up. Pure topspin should always be flicked.